Welcome to the FMCG Guys Christmas special. Hi, Efrain. How are you?
Hi, Daniel. Season's greetings. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And it's Christmas time. When this is released, actually, will be after Christmas Day already and between Christmas and New Year's. So hope everyone that celebrates Christmas had a great one. And since it's a time of giving, I think we have some special gifts for our audience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, like you said, given that this is the season of giving, we've got a couple of new series that we're going to be sharing as our way to in essence say thank you to our listeners and to give them more of the great content that hopefully they're enjoying.
Exactly, exactly. And first of all, actually, let me thank Peter and Shri from the CPG guys at the other side of the Atlantic for their support through the year. Now it's actually 1 year that we started partnering with them, so it's been great. They're a great source of inspiration for us and a great North Star in some ways. So we've learned a lot from them. And also thank you to all the people that have dared to come on the show. One of them is actually here with us today. All the people that have dared to come on the show this year and have generated such interesting conversation. I know that Efrain and I actually learn a lot from them, and hopefully you that are listening as well. So without further ado, we have Greg Berniere and Rafael Schwarz with us today. Hi, guys.
Hey guys, thanks for having us.
So Greg and Rafael, actually, you may have heard about before. He has already released a couple of video episodes on our LinkedIn and YouTube pages and on the podcast as well in all your form. And he was on the podcast earlier this year talking about digital marketing. And was it Rafael specifically? We talked about what was it?
We talked about social commerce.
Social commerce, exactly.
Yeah, the trend that is swapping over from China, what we can learn from live streaming and social media shopping.
Exactly, and which was actually the last time that we looked, I think it was in September, and it was one of the top 10 most downloaded episodes. So probably a lot of the audience already knows you. And Rafael, maybe you can reintroduce yourself to the audience and tell us a bit about the social corner.
Sure, with pleasure. So I'm Rafael Schwarz. I'm one of the managing directors at Territory Influence, the leading social media and influencer marketing agency in Europe. I've spent about 15 years in FMCG marketing roles, so I know the industry pretty well, having worked in Austria, in Switzerland, in the UK, and in Germany, and moved over to the agency side about 8 years ago. And I'm very happy to partner with you guys again on a new episode, which we called The Social Corner. So I'll be talking about all things social media marketing, about insights, about trends, about learnings every Thursday.
Exactly. So as mentioned, you can already see them on LinkedIn, on the web, on the YouTube. We have a landing on the website and on audio on the podcast. Sorry, Efrain.
No, I was just gonna say that I think that this is it's quite timely, Rafael, that we're starting to work with you, and that you're already starting to share some of these videos, just because obviously with Singles Day and Prime Day and Black Friday having kicked off the holiday peak season,
the shopping frenzy.
Yeah, the shopping frenzy. This is where trends like you said, like social commerce, that are making their way west from China. I think this is the ripe for the taking, if you will, in terms of like the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very pleased, but not surprised that the social commerce episode got that much traction, because it is a very, very urgent topic that a lot of people in the West need to learn about and need to start learning and testing and getting their feet wet, because we have not a lot of experience here. I mean, it's been super successful in China for years now, but in Europe it's really in the infancy.
Yeah.
So it's good to see some people experimenting.
Well, and I think even more so than some of the other areas for experimentation from a technology or digital standpoint, this is one that actually has a pretty proven business case behind it in regards to actually being able to show sales and value that it's generating in terms of consumer sales.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But I would be careful as well to expect too much in the beginning, because there's so much to learn first, right? I mean, at what time of the day you have to go live, who should be the host, what kind of offers do you need to make? I mean, there's so many questions and there's so many variables for any of these events, that first you have to identify what are best practices and what works for you as a category or for you as a brand.
Well, I think those are hopefully a lot of the things people will learn from watching your videos. So stay tuned and check those out.
Yeah,
hopefully, absolutely.
One of my big takeaways from the podcast that we did with Rafael is that social commerce doesn't require necessarily a big investment. So it's really, you have to be really agile and trial and learn. So hopefully people will be able to get insights from Rafael directly and go and try them directly without having to get 10 approvals internally as well. So on the other side, we have Greg Berniere, who will come to the podcast as well with a video series talking about one of the most controversial topics on FMCG e-commerce right now, which is direct to consumer, right?
Well, I'm not sure why you're mentioning it's controversial, but yeah, it's been challenged. Let's put it like that. That's for sure.
So, Greg, maybe you can tell us a bit of what you're currently doing at eShop World, Scale Fast, and maybe tell us a bit about the upcoming video series.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having us. I think it's a great way to actually share a bit of our experience on a few digital products and what we do. And it's obviously meant to be informative. I'm also an FMCG baby. I've worked at L'Oréal for almost a decade, so we're all friends here. This is why when you said D2C was controversial, I know where you're coming from. So I'm currently working at ESW, which is a tech solution specialized, obviously, in D2C offerings, whether it's full platform or cross border. And I'm on the sales team. But before that, I was on an FMCG in an FMCG company. I was rolling out D2C websites, so I'm quite convinced D2C is actually a good product for many reasons. And obviously, the series will be about all the different products that we can have within a D2C offering. Some of my favorites, the do's and don'ts, and the advantages of all of that. Not necessarily a full D2C store. You have a lot of ways to reach out to customers, specifically in the FMCG industry. So very, very happy to be sharing some of that knowledge with your listeners.
Yeah. And I can tell you, and Greg, welcome to the FMCG guys family.
I've been a fan for a while already.
That's very nice. Very nice to hear. But yeah, I think you said, maybe the controversial or the challenging part of C2C has always been, how to do it effectively and
how to make money.
Exactly right. So what is the business case for D2C? Right. Whereas I think with social commerce, you tend to start with a fairly low investment. With D2C, at least my experience has been, and Greg, you're more of the expert in this area than I am, is it requires more investment because you do have to, in essence, obviously invest in regards to setting up your platform. But then how do you then, to Rafael's point, how do you then show the business case and actually start generating a positive ROI on that?
I think first of all, if money is the only kicker, D2C has much more to offer than that. Obviously, and I think everybody agrees, and the listeners agrees that D2C so far has been like a huge IT implementation and a very complicated one, and you needed a lot of people to upskill in companies in the last 10 years. Some people are still doing it. Some companies are already there. But I think the real key and what's really gold about D2C is the data you get from it. And some companies are actually excellent at transitioning from a simple line in their P&L into what they can do with the data they're collecting and have an influence over all the different channels they're selling in. Some insights are clear. Some companies are really good at, making their products better, making their offer better, reaching out to their customer and tailoring the products and the offers around them much better, and that really has an influence all across board.
Well, I love the point you made, which is that it's not only about, let's say, commercial value, but I think it's also in terms of what D2C can do from a brand building perspective as well. And then the
Absolutely.
other thing that we have to think about also, which is that from a first data standpoint, it's a great resource, or it can become a great resource of knowledge for companies as well in regards to having really better understanding of their consumers and shoppers than they ever
Agreed.
do second or third party data.
I mean, unless you're in DNVB, and in that case, obviously D2C is your main channel, or like selling online is your main channel. D2C is never going to make more than 1 or 2%. If 3% of your entire sales is almost nothing in comparison with your big distribution channels, your big retail channels. So obviously, betting only on D2C shouldn't be the way, but using it to leverage all your different channels is absolutely what's necessary there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that obviously whoever gets to crack it well will have a huge competitive advantage. But guys, I told you it was a controversial topic. We've already started the debate now.
I think this is a great preview of the kind of guidance and tips that you'll get both from Greg as well as from Rafael. Their two topics. So hopefully we've whetted people's appetite for what's to come in 2023.
Exactly.
I hope they still have appetite after the Christmas dinners and everything.
Yeah.
I always have appetite, but but guys, we thought with Rafael it would be cool to talk about, since we have like multiple nationalities here. I have 3 myself. But first and foremost, I'm culturally Catalan. But we thought it would be a good idea maybe to go over a bit how you see Christmas, but also a bit about your local traditions. So whoever wants to start, I can talk about the very special Catalan Christmas traditions in a minute. But maybe we can start with something more conventional. I don't know, Rafael, you're Austrian. What is Christmas like in Austria?
Yeah, so in Austria, it's really a big family festival. Obviously, Christmas markets are a big thing in Austria, so we really like to go out. Hopefully spend some time in the snow, and then go to one of the Christmas markets, have a glass of blue wine, mulled wine, which is also awesome. Have some nice cookies to go along with it, and then really spend time with the family. So I mean, Christmas is really all about family, spending time at home, with your beloved ones. Most families will erect a Christmas tree, will put on some candles, and really enjoy time together. Have some nice dinner. Obviously, there are lots of presents particularly for the kids. So shopping is also important, but it's really a family time.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, as somebody who just got back from Cologne in Germany.
It's one of the massive markets there.
Well, I was going to say, I think that the German and German and Austrian cultures really do Christmas markets phenomenally well. I mean, between the food, but also the crafts and just the ambiance it's lovely. It's worth
it's super nice
to go see.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's worth traveling. I mean, Cologne is one of the big ones. Nuremberg is very nice. Salzburg is very nice. Vienna, I mean, the Christmas market in front of the Imperial Castle, it's really a place to be in December. It's really wonderful atmosphere.
No doubt.
Yeah, and Greg, I know that you currently live mostly in Madrid, I believe, but in France, do you have any particular traditions for Christmas that are different?
So, since you gave the tone with a bit of controversy, I want to add to what Rafael was saying, because Christmas markets are also a big thing in Alsace region, which is the bordering region with Germany, and used to be German for a few years here and there. Well, enough of controversy. Um, in France, usually it's the 24th of December dinner with the family. If you're married, you go to one of the two families, and the 25th you'll go on the other side. And yeah, it's a great way to gather all the kids. It's all about them usually. You have like you have like an adult dinner, and then you make the whole gift moment around the tree with the kids. My mom would cook. Typically, she cooks divinely and amazingly well. Obviously, she's a French mom. But yeah, no, I think the traditions in general are quite the same. There is nothing very very special about it. Some people would go to church. Some people would not, whether they're believing in God or not. It's really. I think it's typical also as well in France.
Yeah. No, the markets in Strasbourg and Colmar are also very lovely.
Very very nice. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they have some of this. They carry over some of the same traditions that Rafael mentioned as well. I think it's interesting also to always ask people like, what is the what do they serve at the big Christmas dinner, whether it's Christmas Eve or whether it's Christmas Day, in terms of like what's usually the protein of choice, let's say, at the center of the plate.
Oh
Sure.
wow.
I think in Austria, actually, the traditional one is trout. So it's fish for Christmas. But I think, honestly, most people over the last centuries have switched to fondue or more like
Simpler
Swiss
to
style.
cook.
Yeah, way easier.
Yeah. But Daniel, what is it for you in Catalan?
Where to start? Where to start? Well, we have a lot of things that are going on here. So first and foremost, the Catalans, we have a distinctive tradition for Christmas, which is very related with going to the toilet. So everybody it's quite typical for people in their houses to recreate Jesus' nativity scene, but Jesus' nativity scene can be like probably like 1 or 2 meters long, like not 2 meters, but 1 meter long. So there's a big tradition of that. You would put the moss on, you would put like the three kings coming, you would put all these little figures around, and then you would have the nativity scene. I used to do it at home every year when I was a kid. And then you would put that like next to the Christmas tree normally. You even have contests of nativity scenes. And you have human nativity scenes in towns where people from the village will dress up and do the whole nativity scene. But in every nativity scene, you have like this little figure, which is called the cagané, which basically means the man who's doing poo. So you have this man like with the posture of doing poo, dressed in traditional Catalan clothes. And you even have shops now in Barcelona that sell these with famous people's faces on them. So
Wow.
so that's one part. That's for one part. But the second part is that on the 24th at night, we have what's called the cagatillo, which basically means the poo log, kind of, which is like a log of wood with the face on it, which kids, they put it in the living room or somewhere in the house, and they give food to it every night. So they feed it, and then on the 24th at night, they start hitting it with a stick, and it literally poos the presents out. I did it at my place, I did it at school, so it's like a paramount event in a Catalan Christmas. So that's for one side. Surprised? Have you ever heard about that?
Absolutely never.
No. I those are both new things for me. I never learned about either one of those. I think it's fascinating. Next time I'm in Barcelona, I'm definitely going to see if I can try to find one of those figures.
Oh, you can. I'll take
that to add to my to our nativity set. So I mean, I guess to wrap up, this view around the world, I kind of in essence borrow a little bit from each of what you guys have said, because I split my time between France and Amsterdam. So Greg, I'm familiar with some of the culinary delights that you referenced. I think I'm also from Puerto Rico originally, so we have a lot of the same traditions from a Latin culture than you might find in Spain in regards to the nativity scenes, and maybe even in some of the types of food that we eat around Christmas time. For us in I guess the Puerto Rican side of me, we usually have a lechon, which is a spit roasted pork that you can also, I think, find in places like Argentina and some of the South American countries as well. But with my wife being American/Italian, we do the meal of the 7 fishes for Christmas Eve, which is very traditionally Italian, where you have 7 different kinds of seafood that day, and then on Christmas Day we'll do something that's a bit more traditional, like a rib roast or something like this. So it's it's funny how I think all have, in some way, shape, or form, referenced some form of food, and then I think we've all kind of touched on it slightly, which is like shopping, or I guess of the gifting season as well, which is always.
I didn't talk about food.
I guess you didn't, right? You didn't really talk about food. Well,
We don't eat poo. I can tell you that. So.
Wow, that's very comforting to hear.
Exactly. So in the rest of Spain, they also have like seafood on the 24th, which here in Catalonia traditionally we don't. But since there's a lot of people that come from the rest of Spain, a lot of families do a dinner on the 24th. Then the big meal is on the 25th, where we have a very clear menu, which is you have a Christmas soup, which is a bit of a poor man's dish, which is interesting. So we have Christmas soup. Then you eat the meat that the soup is made of, which is sausage and like a type of meatball and all type of like chicken and and vegetables. And then you have a roast chicken. And then you have dessert. So it's a lot of food, as you can imagine. And then on the 26th, you have Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day, which is a holiday in Catalonia as well. And then you have cannelloni, which are traditionally made of the leftovers of the previous day. And then Christmas here, actually in all the Spanish-speaking countries, is extremely long because traditionally kids get presents on the 6th of January, which is King's Day, right? So it's a very particular Christmas season here because you get Christmas shopping throughout the season. So traditionally in Barcelona, you have on Gran Via, which is one of the main streets, a Christmas market, quote unquote, with stalls where they sell like toys. Sought after toys will double the price for people that are late for Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good business tip.
Exactly.
If you're late to the party, you double the price.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I think it's interesting to kind of hear. I mean, from a shopping or retail standpoint, what are you all seeing in terms of your respective regions or markets, or even just across the industry in terms of how this holiday shopping season is shaping up compared to others?
I feel like people are willing to spend a bit more, even though we have like some of the energetic crisis and prices are inflating a lot, etc. From our standpoint, we've seen an amazing Black Friday and Cyber Mondays, which are usually a good trigger for the holiday season, at least in Europe, since Thanksgiving is not a thing over here. And shopping habit, and people are planning to spend more than they did last year or the year before. I think people have a bit more confidence, even though we're talking about inflation a lot and all of that. Mind you, in France, we're talking about like having electricity shortcuts, droughts. Sorry, for during like the peaks of coldness. So. Even with all of that, I think people want to celebrate, and you see it in the shops. I mean, I've been to the Galerie Lafayette yesterday, which is like known pretty much everywhere on the planet. It was packed. It was packed on a Wednesday afternoon. So this shows really that people are back to wanting to have normal lives and spending the way they used to before the whole COVID situation started.
Well,
I would agree with what Brett said. I think consumers are willing to pay for the thing that matters to them, right? And Christmas and family obviously is still a key priority everywhere. and while they might save on their vacation, and maybe stay at home or don't travel to overseas places, they're not going to save on Christmas gifts.
Yeah, interesting. So Efrain, what else for next year's podcast? I think we have a very exciting pipeline of guests coming, apart from these 2 new video sections, which I'm very excited about. What else do we have in coming up?
Well, I think it's, obviously, first off, glad to have Greg and Rafael as part of the the family, and I'm looking forward to seeing all their videos starting now, but also obviously into the new year. In terms of what's coming up next, I think, Daniel, I'm really excited in terms of some of the guests that we have coming up this year, in terms of a couple of new industries within FMCG that we haven't really talked to before, in terms of some areas of apparel, and we're talking to people in food and beverages as well that are really, really interesting, and I think are going to offer a new spin on things, both in terms of like digitalization, but also sustainability. So I think there's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pipe for our listeners in 2023.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit deja vu, Ephraim, because last year our second episode was about Q-commerce, and this year our first episode is actually gonna be about Q-commerce. This will have somebody from Gorillas talking about social retail media, so that's gonna be very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm really looking forward to just continuing to explore some of the topics that we started to talk about this year as well, in terms of like topics like retail media, looking at sustainability, looking at the role of that it's playing in regards to helping influence people's purchase decisions. Obviously, digital continues to be critical, and I think with things like D2C, social commerce, but like you said, Q-commerce, as well as other elements of digital that are driving the transformation. I think there's lots for us to unpack. So excited for what's to come.
Yeah, and also I think that as we go into an unknown situation with a potential recession, I think post-COVID has basically put everything upside down. It's going to be interesting as well to be able to comment it here and talk to experts and luminaries about what's going on.
Yeah, well, and I think Greg and Rafael started to allude to some of those things in regards to, some of the impact that it's currently having. But again, people's, in essence, resilience, or certain categories' resilience, in regards to how people are choosing to spend on what matters the most to them. So, a colleague of mine has said that, we're in essence we as consumers are in essence doing our own version of machine learning. And that we've in essence gone through, now 2 crises back to back, which is fairly unprecedented in modern history. And we've learned from it, right? So we come out stronger and more resilient as a result of that. So I think that's going to carry over into 2023 as we start seeing, scheduled blackouts in places like France and some of the other things that are happening around the economic situation. So,
yeah. Well, lastly, and wanted to also thank our audience for following us and enjoying our content, engaging. We would like to bring that to the next level this year. So, of course, as I always say, please do reach out to us, be proactive. Let us know about what topics you want to hear about, suggest guests, maybe it could be yourself. And very excited about this new season. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and very thankful for this past year. So thanks to not just to our audience, but also to you, Daniel, as my fellow host. And
you too, Ephraim. You too. And this was the first time we met. This year was the first time we met, by the way. So we'll celebrate it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Season's greetings, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.